on. But Wendell Cox is a principal. I love this title. He's the principal of demographia. What that means. Anyway, I shouldn't laugh. He'll explain. He was also a 3-term member of the L.A. County Transportation Commission. And back in 2008, he co-authored, along with another guy who's been on our show quite a few times, Joe Vranich, the business relocation coach who keeps track of companies that leave California, companies. Anyway, he wrote this report for the Reason Foundation. It's called the Due Diligence Report on the High-Speed Rail System, which he writes outlined virtually all the problems so many people are aware of now. And this report actually came out before the 2008 election. Too bad every voter didn't read it. Wendell, welcome to the John and Ken Show.
Pleasure to be with you.
Just explain, principle of demographia. What is that?
Demographia is an international consulting firm dealing in demographics, transportation, and land use.
And your title is principal. I like that.
Principal, yeah, you bet.
You're not president, vice president. You're the principal.
Got to be unique, you know.
All right. Explain how you put together this research. And when did you do this? You did this in 2008 before the November vote?
Yeah, it was done in 2008, but I've stayed close to the project and been watching it very closely. I did a report on the Florida high-speed rail program in 1996 in Florida, which Jeb Bush used to kill the project there. I also did a report in 2011, which was used by Governor Scott and credited to kill the program there. I've been following high-speed rail for a long time.
Now, are you saying that in Ohio and Florida, the proposals were full of just as many distortions and lies as California's?
No, actually, I think California sets a record. I've been following public policy for quite some period of time. I have never seen such deceit as I see with respect to this high-speed rail project. I mean, there's nothing even close to genuine about this project.
Well, where do we want to start, Wendell? We've gone over a lot of the problems, too, but you certainly did the research to know in detail. What do you think is the worst violation from the proposal to the reality?
Well, the worst violation is the terrible extent to which the project is not living up to the claims that it were made to the voters to pass the referendum. However, you look back at our report in 2008. We projected that costs would increase based upon the international evidence, and in fact, they increased far more than we even projected. The project is claimed to be environmentally good, and it's going to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, yet there's no serious study of that, and our examination of their data indicated that for every ton of greenhouse gas emission it would take out of the air, it would cost $1,800, which is 36 times the United Nations maximum standard. And in fact, I think one of the things that hasn't been said in the more recent discussions, but I'll basically suggest I have serious questions as to whether Governor Brown and the people at the High Speed Rail Authority are even serious about reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Because if they were, they would be not looking to such an expensive program to do it. If they're really concerned about rising sea levels and all of that kind of thing, they should be out there seeking the most cost-effective ways to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. But they're not. And this is the real tragedy, that we have these people proposing to use cap-and-trade revenues.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it looks to me like pork and slush. That's all it is.
Yeah, and, dealing with the quality of the air, the real complaint, as I understand it, is that if they start construction in the Central Valley, which already has severe air quality problems, the construction, which is going to take quite a while, 10 to 20 years, is going to really, really further damage the air there.
No question about it. And there's a University of California report that says it'll take 70 years to recover the damage. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, no, this thing is a real loser any way you want to look at it. I mean, the ridership figures are bloated. It's costing much more than it should. And frankly, it's going to make no difference in traffic congestion or in air congestion.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a moment, because I know you examine more closely, because Jerry Brown loves to tell reporters that if we don't build this high-speed rail system, what are we going to do with all of the traffic, both on the ground with the cars and in the air with the airplanes? It's going to cost so much to build all the capacity to get people the room they need on the planes and the sky and also on the freeways, but you said that was overstated, too.
Overstated to to an extent of like 30 times. Give you an idea. The most recent business plan out of April basically assumes that we would have to build enough highway capacity to deal with twice as many seats as the trains will have in 2040, 7 times as many trains, and mileage that is 70% more than the length of the route. We are talking about some of the most misleading information that has come out of any organization, public or private. Yeah. So it is an absolute sham, and anybody that repeats those specious numbers should be ashamed of themselves. But it's even worse. Then you look at the airline figures. Now, the consultant for the High-Speed Rail Authority notes that the average airplane between L.A. and San Francisco carries 135 people. That is, it has 135 seats.
Yeah.
What do they assume in this plan that is going to cause, when they basically try to suggest we got to build high-speed rail to avoid expanding airports and building new runways? They assume plane sizes of 70 people. When is the last time anybody got on a plane at LAX and went to SFO on a plane with 70 seats?
No, not me. It's always full.
Well, beyond that, 70 seats are what we run between Fresno and Madera. Right. That's not what we run on major routes. So, again, no need to expand airport capacity. So this whole idea that we can't afford the additional capacity, and it's also, by the way, to some degree based upon the assumption that California will grow much faster than it's growing. I mean, the State Department of Finance overstated, and I shouldn't say overstated, overprojected, because nobody can project the future accurately. They overprojected the growth rate in the last decade by 100%. And so, I mean, I did an op-ed for the Orange County Register 4 years ago when they came out with a projection for 60 million people by 2050 in California and said, wake up and smell the coffee. It's not going to happen. I mean, you've talked to Joe Vranich. You know about the exodus of businesses. You know that 1.5 million people moved out of California to other states in the last decade. Well, now the USC Saul Price School of Regional Planning has come out with a report that says, no, in 2050 we're going to have 51 million people, not 60. I'll bet more like 45, quite frankly.
All right, when we come back, I'll ask you a couple more questions. I'm talking to Wendell Cox. His title is Principal of DemoCRAPs. It's a consulting company. He was also at one time a 3-term member of the L.A. County Transportation Commission, and he has been studying and writing about high-speed rail systems throughout the U.S. He mentioned Florida and Ohio, and he says that California's the worst. The lies, the distortions to sell the high-speed rail boondoggle to people it's unbelievable. When we come back, I'll talk to him more about this because he makes another good point. They did a research paper back in 2008 for the Reason Foundation about all the lies and distortions that they're trying to sell us with the high-speed rail. And one thing he wants to point out, I want to get to this as soon as we come back, is that in other countries, we're always told we got to catch up with the rest of the world with the use of the high-speed rail system. Now, he'll tell you exactly who rides high-speed rail in the other countries of the world and why it won't work in California, where you might have guessed, most people already in the state do not use any kind of rail. It's the John and Ken Show, KFI, AM 640, more stimulating talk radio.